So here's the thing, I like to think interviewing is a skill, and this is because I've seen a lot of people who are great in their fields and have owned their skills and know all about the technologies needed for the role they are applying for, and yet they still flop in their interviews. I've gone through that myself, and in this video I'm going to be going through some general things you need to know that can help you ace your next interview. So let's get into it. Before we get started, I need you to click on the like button so this video gets recommended to other people, and click on the subscribe button because I'm trying to reach 500 subs. The first thing to understand is the kinds of interviews that are out there. This is because different interviews require you answer or rather approach questions in different ways, and when you mix things up, you mess things up, although you know your stuff. There are technical interviews, and depending on the role you're applying to, this also has some subdivisions. There are also behavioral interviews, which a lot of people fail more than people think, and in one of my upcoming videos I'll be going in depth into the kinds of interviews you might face and how to ace those. The next thing that I see that a lot of people don't do is not to ask questions. I've had people reach out to me to ask how they should prepare for an interview at a company I've interviewed with previously, or what they should expect in that interview. And the first question I always ask is, have you asked the recruiter what he should expect? One thing you need to always do is to make sure you know what your interview is going to look like even before the interview. This is so that you can streamline your preparation. And maybe I should tell you at this point that for almost all the interviews that I've had, the recruiter always responds positively and tells me what aspect to focus on. I can remember I had an interview and I was like, oh, what should I do? What should I focus on? The interviewer was like, these are the behavioral principles you need to focus on, and that was exactly what came out in the interview. Another thing to talk about is how you communicate and articulate your responses in the interview. Like I mentioned previously, beyond knowing your stuff, you also need to be able to communicate your stuff, and this is where a lot of people fail their interviews. It's not that they don't know the answers to the questions they are being asked in the interviews, but they can't articulate their responses well, which makes the interviewer think, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. One way to improve on your communication is by watching interview examples and reading up on how to respond to different kind of questions. If you go to YouTube and you search for data structures and algorithm interviews or behavioral interviews, you will see examples of people doing mock interviews. So by watching some of those, you can better understand how to answer some of those questions when you face those in an interview. Also, during an interview, when you are asked a question, instead of going straight ahead to answer the question, you want to take a moment to understand the question very well and mentally formulate a coherent answer so that when you are giving your response, you make sense to the interviewer. The other thing you can do is what I'll be talking about in the next point, which is doing mock interviews. Here's the thing, if you've not done a lot of interviews previously, say you just graduated from school, or it's been a while that you interviewed for a role, like if you've been working for a couple of years, you don't want the real interview to be the first interview you will do, because you might be shocked at how poorly you will do in the interview. Like I said, interviewing is a skill, and you don't want to use the scarce real interviews to learn. So here's what I would advise. There are different platforms where you can match with other people who are also looking to do mock interviews. I know Pramp, which you can do behavioral interviews, data structures and algorithm interviews, and systems design interview. You should sign up on those platforms and start doing some mock interviews. The other option is to look for mentors and friends to set up time for you where you can interview and they can conduct mock interviews for you. I actually plan on holding a couple of mock interview sessions with some people, and if you'll be interested in seeing the mock interview videos, let me know in the comment section and I will record those videos and post on the YouTube channel. Also, if you have watched this video so far, go ahead and click on the like button if you have not done that. And I release informative videos like this every 2 weeks, so go ahead and click on the subscribe button and also on the bell notification so that you can be notified whenever I post. The last thing I'll be talking about is learn from rejections. And this is because even after you've tried all your best and prepped as much as you can, sometimes things just don't go your way. And this can be due to a number of reasons. One being that there are just more qualified candidates that are interviewing for the role as you, or maybe there are more people that are further ahead in the interview process before you applied for the role. Usually I advise that you reach out to your recruiter or your interviewer to get feedback on what you did right and the things that you can improve on. This way you can do better in any subsequent interviews that you have. And I think that with some of these things, if you can implement some of these things, doing mock interviews, asking your interviewers before the interview what you should focus on, you can really improve your chances of acing that next interview. If you've watched this video so far, thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye.